You know what happened was I was moving my phones because my cat was about to step on them, and it dialed your phone.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, what's that noise? Kitty, that was a kitty call. Sorry about that. Kitty,
oh, that's cute. That's
you know,
cute.
they love it when I'm on the radio, and they like to come and get right in my face. What are you doing?
Yeah. That's
doing?
exactly.
Yeah.
I had to put my kitty in the other room. It stopped meowing. But you know, the new age
How
apparently
is your kitty
started.
doing?
Great. It's getting bigger with longer spikes. It grabs hold of me with its spikes and climbs up my arm.
Yeah,
y'all have to do that. Yeah,
no.
bigger one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to tell it no because it's learning it.
No, I'm not a tree, kitty. I'm not a tree. I'm not a tree.
Well, let's look at how we were during the New Age movement. I'm going to look at New Age on Britannica. It says New Age movement because a lot of the kids talk about love and light in, the New Age and offered.
They weren't using that word. They weren't using that word back in the 70s.
No, they used esoterics and occult.
I'll tell you when it began.
Freemasonry, Rosicrucian.
The New Age movement began with hair, and they said this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And Sasha Sort Y was part of the producers of hair in Los Angeles. So. So that's the connection. They were involved with the New Age movement, and that was what the New Age movement was. But it grew rapidly in the Western world in the 70s. So it started really growing in the 70s. Let me looking at Wikipedia.
Metaphysical community 70s and 80s forward the New Age. It says the New Age of love and light started 70s and 80s movement, but Wikipedia says something different.
At the same time as each other. Yeah. So
Wikipedia says something different.
1970 to 2000. Right, I'm on Wikipedia, which we know is just a new encyclopedia. Anyway,
do we want to discuss that? Agree or disagree?
No, I think we should stay where we are because we're running out of time, and you're going to be continuing. I have a conflict. I have to contact Suzanne and renegotiate talking with her or something. So I'm going to do that while we're chatting here.
And I have a station at 9 o'clock. So we didn't know. Are you expecting other people to come onto the show, TJ?
Yeah, Rich.
We were at the normal time from shooting.
About 30 minutes. We've got 30 minutes left. Rich and Suzanne are coming on tonight. They were going to do their Love and Light part the last hour, I guess. And she works till 7, and she's coming on 8 to 9. You have to schedule on her appointments. Yeah, she told me she had talked to you today, but
she said she
has to do it after the show tonight.
For the conflict here.
Yeah, because she's doing the show.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 to 10. Her and her husband are doing tonight, and supposed to come and talk because I had James Tolley, but you told me to move him, so I did. So you wanted to talk with Karen, and so I had Suzanne and them come on the second hour. I thought.
Okay, so let's go back.
Karen wanted to do Love and Light.
Back to topic. We are doing Love and Light. We're doing
New Age. Well, that's New Age
consciousness
movement.
And spirituality. So when you contacted with extraterrestrials, TJ and Karen and me, our contact was not these dark forces. You know how the modern UFO movement is like, they're all demons. But my contact has been very positive, even with reptilians. And you apparently, Teresa, never met reptilians. Karen and I have.
No.
So your first contact, we've gone into that. Now, when you were with your first husband, and he's working at NASA, did you have any contact with extraterrestrials that he was aware of? Did you have
No, I never told him anything. No, because Janet, his father worked for Grumman and he worked for NASA, and other than they believed in him, but they weren't allowed to talk about him. But he was in the room when they had aliens go over. So it was bogeys 12 o'clock high or 2 o'clock or whatever that story was. So I wrote about that. But the one time I had a light being come out of an orb come and knock on my door, that's the one I told you about. But he didn't know about that. That's when you and I were listening to Catherine Kuhlman on, TV and stuff, and she was real spiritual. But that's all I can remember about spiritual. And then that man came and knocked on my door, and that's when I was about the time before I had Lauren. When I had her, she was created when man walked on the moon, because Steve was working a lot at NASA at night. But she was born April 3rd, 1970. So you see, I was pregnant during that 69, last part of 69. But a man came to visit me. I was seeing Bernard Rosenbaum, who worked for TRW across the street. Him and Kathy Rosenbaum had 2 boys, Matthew and Timothy, and they wanted a little girl really bad. But they lived right there in front of me, and he worked for TRW and drove a blue Thunderbird. And I had a man come up in a gold, man knocked on my door, and he said, "I want to have a baby with you." And then when I didn't understand what was going on, and I followed him out the door, and he disappeared in a gold, or like the bright sun. It was almost like another dimension, but I call it an orb because it blinded me. So I don't know how to explain that, because I don't know if there's any words for that, if you know what I mean. But he came back later because I was really worried, because I'd had like a placenta previa or something. I had a blood clot where I looked like I lost a baby. But he came back by to say the baby was okay, so I always considered I must have had I don't know if this is true or not, but it goes with that John Mack abduction stuff or something. I never felt I was abducted because I was conscious. But the way I describe it is a man came and knocked on my door.
He came back and took the baby back. He said I was worried at 2.5 or 3 months, but here's the way I put it in my mind. Now this is now, not then. Then I wasn't. I was just a teenager, in between Angie and Lauren. So you know how the way we talk about, like I was I relate to Taken. Allie Clark, the little girl, Allie Clark, and Steven Spielberg did that story. I related to that because when I was little, I had so many operations, so I went under with anesthesia, and then I died in the 2nd grade. So I thought this was part of my extraterrestrial initiation, because at 4, I went up on a spacecraft and didn't want to come back down. So that was conscious. I wasn't abducted. I consciously fell asleep and, I could see myself on the ground. So that was my first out-of-body experience. But at that age, I had some ET visiting me and teaching me things, and Mother couldn't see them at 4. Remember that story where I told you I consciously knew Mother couldn't see my invisible being? So we have that. So I thought it was part of that group, extraterrestrials, because I seem to always have been conscious of extraterrestrials in my life. But we're not supposed to talk about it, especially around NASA people. So that goes back to the boyfriend thing, right? Because you're not allowed. Well, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means we didn't talk about it.
Well, I also think, to add something, I also think that a lot of us have more going on than what we even know, and they're continually wiping it away.
I wonder if that's true, because I had a lot of times missing time, but I was conscious, but I'd be conscious of, I still remember one time at the townhouse, I was with one guy standing in the window. I'm not going to mention names, but he was a husband, okay, but I've had several folks. We were missing like an hour and a half or 2, and then when I wanted to get out of there in pictures, it was like where you knock things off the wall. It's the energy. My husband said I did it. He said I had telekinesis or something, especially if I got mad. But when we walked out, I knew I didn't make the merry-go-round spin, and there was nobody there. We went by the dark playground where we were living, townhouses, but they'd have, places for the kids. And the kids weren't with me at the time. They were with Steve and up in Peoria, Illinois or somewhere. But it spun around. But you know how you start learning about the extraterrestrials, your family off planet, those on the planet, and then the times that come and go interdimensionally. So I have these orb people that saved me in the second grade in orbs, and so I related it to orb people in the Wizard of Oz. So I come up with this whole other reality, whether it's true or not, interdimensional beings that can come and go like Glenda did with Wizard of Oz. So I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. But let me say one thing. I think, if we, my opinion on this is if we think it, it's there. So I think that's true. I think if it wasn't true, we wouldn't be thinking it, because we live on and have interactions with multidimensional parts of ourselves all the time. I think they're with us right this minute. And for all we know, we could be on a ship and watching ourselves take the test down here in this Earth 3D consciousness. I'm not saying it's so, but who knows?
Well, that sort of goes with the multi-world theory, right? And then the multi-dimensions. And now in quantum physics, we're finally getting there. We know that some of the universes spin backwards, so we're just getting into that. But they used to not talk about that even 2 or 3 years ago. We knew planets, some of them spin backwards. But now, if you listen to the World Science Festival with that Brian Greene, I think it was Brian Greene, they're just now starting to talk about the theories. They can't prove them, but they've known, like NASA, Hubble, now the universe is spinning, so they're going to work on that, working on how to talk about it.
So that's why I like to use the word metaphysics instead of New Age. I think if you use the word New Age, I think it makes a lot of people. Of course, the Age of Aquarius is beautiful, but I mean, as far as just the words New Age, it touches on a lot of religionists, and they get scared and judgmental. And so, if you talk about physics and metaphysics where we live, there is a science in this too. But I get the feeling a lot of times when I'm with you guys that we have a lot of friendly beings that are watching us do this, and who knows what it is. And I think we're multidimensionalizing this very thing at this moment, because you have a lot of charisma, energy, TJ. It's a beautiful energy field. And when you come in there, it's like somebody comes in with you that we can't feel. That's what I feel. I think it's beautiful.
Well, thank you. I like your energy too. And Janet, what?
Thank you.
I have a question. A couple of weeks ago, we had a person on our show that was talking about the moon landing didn't happen, right? One of those never moon landing.
It wasn't on my show.
By Stanley Kubrick. No, I had one. So you were saying previously that you were in there in the control room when they were reporting about ETs following them, right? You said something about. Something about the ETs.
Oh yeah.
So
I know what happened, but
prove to this man that the moonwalk was real.
Because he's listening to he's listening to conspiracy theories, and that was based on Kubrick being in hype, and he wanted to sell the story. You got to go listen to all the stories and the people that lived during the time versus the people that only believe hearsay. So what he did is he's following that story that they made some film in case of emergency, and the guy spun it a different way so he could make some money, and he did. He's sort of like one of those Philip K. Dick dudes that has, but no, I know that story, and I listened to, and I saw the film, and I do a mini investigation and research on everything. I'm open to all sides, but each person's going to believe what they want to believe, but you got to remember, I did this for a living as an investigator
they can take
forensics.
Your theory They can take their theory. So he was saying that film cannot survive its space. Film cannot survive on